Don't think it would be too much to say the Big Bang Theory TV show is one of the best sitcoms we have been lucky to watch in the last 2 decades. Aside from being funny and teaching many important life lessons, it also introduced us to some pretty interesting actors like Kaley Cuoco, who played the female lead Penelope Penny Hofstadter. It's been years since the show ended in May 2019 after a 12-year run, and different rumors have been flying around about Kaley Cuoco becoming completely different just 5 years after the show. Let's dive into the life of Kaley Cuoco, who she was before fame and where she is now. Early life. Born on November 30, 1985, Kaley Christine Cuoco is the eldest daughter of Gary Carmine Cuoco, a realtor, and Lane Ann, a homemaker. Though raised in Camarillo, California, and looking fully American, Kaley is a combination of Italian, English, and German ancestry. As a toddler, Kaley played tennis, and it looked like this was something she was really good at. But in the spirit of trying her hands at other things, Kaley did some modeling too. Then, she got an acting gig in a Barbie commercial at the age of 6. It was obvious that Kaley had a future in entertainment if she chose and followed this path. However, she stuck with her first passion, tennis, while acting in commercials and looking for opportunities to kickstart her acting career. When Kaley was 7 in 1992, she was cast in her first major acting role in the movie Quicksand, No Escape, starring Donald Sutherland and Tim Matheson. 2 years later, she starred as the young version of Ellen DeGeneres' character on the 1994 ABC comedy series Ellen. She was on that show for 4 years and eventually acted with Ellen DeGeneres herself in an episode of DeGeneres' second sitcom, The Ellen Show. While Kaley was on Ellen, she also got some small roles in movies like 1995's Virtuosity, acting alongside the likes of Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Then, in 1997, she was in the romantic comedy Picture Perfect with Jennifer Aniston. 15-year-old Kaley was then chosen to play actress Maureen McCormick in NBC's biopic Growing Up Brady. Her success in Growing Up Brady placed her in a prime position to play a featured role on the show 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. This would turn out to be her breakout role, but she almost failed to get it. On the one hand, Kaley was quite good at playing tennis and even got ranked in the Southern California Tennis Association's regional amateur division. On the other hand, she was into horse riding, and she was doing all this while still getting work as an actress, so she had to split her time between acting and sports. A year later, as Kaley turned 16 and despite her success in tennis and an impressive resume as a commercial model, she made the decision to drop the idea of playing tennis professionally and fully focus on her acting career. In an interview explaining why acting was the obvious choice, she said, "I basically grew up on stages and grew up in front of the camera, and I always kind of loved it. My parents said, do it or don't. It was never a big deal. It was like another activity that we did. It just kind of kept happening, and I kept working." Her decision to focus more on acting would turn out to be a great one. Why? See, when she first went to the audition for the role in the series 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, she had done so poorly that the producers called her agent about her weak performance. But they saw the potential in her ability and told Kaley's agent that if she could work on her performance and get better, they were willing to give her a second chance. This is exactly what she did, and she ended up getting the part. According to Kaley, this ended up changing her life. "So I did end up getting the job, which totally changed the course, truly, of actually my life and my career. It kind of put me on the map and made me realize how much I love sitcoms." By removing her distraction and pouring herself into her role on 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, she gave a performance that was so good she won the Teen Choice Award for Choice TV Breakout Star, Female in 2003. This opened the door for many guest appearances in films and TV shows. Not only that, but the world of animation also got to use her skillful voice acting, making her the main character in shows like Brandy and Mr. Whiskers and Bratz. Her tenacity soon paid off. Soon after concluding 8 Simple Rules, she got a lead role on the TV show Charmed. She played the role of Billy Jenkins on the show, and she was just perfect for the project. The producers loved the impact she brought into the show. In fact, co-executive producer Brad Kern said in an email response to an interview on Kaley's importance, "Kaley's character keeps the show young and fresh by challenging the existing stars with a new perspective and new powers. Kaley has such a strong screen presence that, along with her uncanny sense of comedic timing, complements Alyssa, Holly, and Rose perfectly." Charmed did so well that the Big Bang Theory producers wanted Kaley to continue playing the character in its own spin-off show. But something was about to happen that would change Kaley's life and plans completely. The Big Bang Theory came for her just when the idea from Charmed's producers was put on the table. The Big Bang Theory. This was a huge opportunity for Kaley, and no one was shocked when she made the decision to audition for a role on The Big Bang Theory. This was a show created by Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady, both executive producers and head writers on the show, along with Stephen Milaro. But at the time, the production had released a pilot featuring actor Johnny Galecki, who played Leonard, Jim Parsons, who was Sheldon, and their neighbor, a character named Katie, played by Amanda Walsh. Katie was the character Kaley had auditioned for, but she had lost the role because, according to Kaley, she had actually auditioned for the original pilot and did not get cast because she was too young at 19 years old. Fortunately for Kaley, the president and chief content officer at Warner Brothers Television Group, Peter Roth, would release a statement that would open another door of opportunity. In the first pilot, the character of Katie was not as appealing as that proverbial girl next door. It was not the actress Amanda Walsh but rather the conceit of the character. So, the pilot hadn't made the impact the team had hoped for, but they decided to pick it up again with a few changes. This time, Katie's role was immediately rewritten as that of a new character named Penny, who would be Sheldon and Leonard's friendly, non-intellectual neighbor. The character was now an aspiring actress from Omaha, Nebraska, who, despite not having a PhD or being an astrophysicist like her nerdy neighbors, was very emotionally intelligent. She had social awareness and a completely different way of looking at the world. She worked as a waitress and sometimes managed the bar at the Cheesecake Factory. At some point, Penny would give up hope of becoming a successful actress and settle for the job of a pharmaceutical sales rep. With friends like Bernadette and Amy, Penny formed the Penny Posse, and they often hung out in each other's apartments. Penny would eventually become Leonard's significant other. The layout of the Penny character was set in such a way that Kaley was certain it was a role she would fit into way better than she did with the Katie character, and this time, the team felt it. She was indeed the one for the role. Kaley even recalled in one of her interviews. Chuck called a year later and said, "It's a new character, we want you to come in." I read for it, and it just felt so much better than it did the year before. I guess it was just meant to be. In fact, Johnny Galecki felt it was natural to add her to the cast. It felt very natural, almost musical, to reshoot the pilot when Kaley was on board with Simon and Cannell. It felt like a band you'd been playing with for years, and everything that everyone did complemented what someone else had to do. It was just fantastic. There's no recipe for that kind of chemistry. The reception. Apart from the acting chemistry between members of the cast, Kaley and Galecki also had their own chemistry going on, becoming a real-life couple for a period of time. The Big Bang Theory premiered in September 2007 and aired on CBS in front of a live audience with a new cast, including Penny, the bubbly, pretty female staying next door. The show tried to appeal to viewers of various demographics. However, in its first season, the show had a lot of mixed reviews. Some people took a stand that it was stereotypical, painting scientists as tunnel-vision people who had nothing else going on in their lives. Fans now would say it was a biased viewpoint of people who weren't patient enough to give the show a chance to get its foot on the ground. And truly, the initial reception would begin to be more favorable as the show entered its second and third seasons. Millions of viewers began to enjoy the different and complex characters of The Big Bang Theory. The writers of the show had ensured the main characters, Sheldon, Leonard, and Penny, were more one-dimensional in their thought process, causing them to remain in a bubble of their own misconceptions. But this was the appeal of the show, since by interacting with each other, the characters were forced to see through the eyes of one another, making them more understanding and considerate. Then, another brilliant thing viewers noticed about the show was the way they presented the science-y parts in a fun and encompassing way that drew in fans who probably weren't inclined in the first place. The actual processes and theories that relate to everyday life or just fun facts in The Big Bang Theory did its very best in educating the general public. The producers of the show did their due diligence by getting a professor of physics and astronomy at the University of California, Los Angeles, to check the scripts and the provided dialogue, mathematical equations, and diagrams used as props. The professor, who had a PhD in physics, was the science consultant on the show for 6 seasons and was present for every taping that involved any science. And when it was beyond him, he was assisted by Mayim Bialik, who had a PhD in neuroscience. Concerning the realism of the science, Bill Prady, the executive producer, stated, "We're working on giving Sheldon an actual problem that he's going to be working on throughout the first season, so there's actual progress to the boards. We worked hard to get all the science right." Not to talk of the skill of Kaley and her co-stars in showing their impressive abilities. Kaley, for example, took the character Penny and created what a report described as an edgier character with more depth who played a major role in the sitcom's success. It was clear everyone on the show was giving 100% and more. This diligence was rewarded when the third season and its subsequent seasons picked up and started to draw more attention. Millions tuned into the show every time a new episode was released. Running from September 24, 2007, to May 16, 2019, the show ran for 12 seasons and recorded about 270